Joining me now, I have Chairman of the House Oversight Committee, James Comer, Republican from Kentucky. Congressman, thank you for your time this morning, sir. Appreciate it.
Good morning.
For starters, my first question, what's your confidence level in this being an isolated case? Or was this just the one employee who was the only person caught?
Well, we're going to find out. That's why we're going to bring the FEMA director in. We had a lot of questions for the FEMA director long before this text message became public. But at the end of the day, it's hard for me to believe that this FEMA employee would do something so brazen were there not a culture within FEMA to discriminate against conservatives. We've seen instance after instance over the past 4 years in the Biden-Harris administration where there's been a bias by federal employees against conservatives or against Republicans. And this just isn't the way the government is supposed to operate. And one of the reasons I think Donald Trump performed so well in the election is the fact that a lot of American people have lost confidence in their government. They've lost confidence in our intelligence communities. They've lost confidence in our government agencies like FEMA. These agencies used to have a pretty good reputation for the federal government. They were there to help. They were there to protect us. But now there's a belief by a lot of Americans, and I would argue a majority of Americans, that the federal workforce has been overwhelmed by left-wing activists.
And Congressman, something that you just said that just kind of caught my attention, that it came out via text message, that she had texted someone. What more can you tell us about that text? Was it to her whole team? Was it to one person in a kind of a joking manner? What more can you share with us about that text message that got her caught?
Well, it's my understanding. Yeah, it was my understanding it was to the entire team. And remember, these are people that lost everything. I mean, these are people that are in desperate need of help. The federal government, according to any conservative, should be limited. But there is a role for the federal government. That's to help people when they're in time of need. And that's what FEMA is supposed to do. But there have been so many questions over the past 2 years about what exactly is FEMA's role. We know FEMA's been playing a huge role in relocating hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of illegal aliens that have poured into our country across the southern border. That's not the role of FEMA. So FEMA's role is to help after a natural disaster like a hurricane or a flood or things like that.
I know you're hoping.
Hear an example where they bypass someone because they had a Trump flag in their yard, it would lead one to believe that there's a culture of corruption within FEMA.
I know you're hoping to learn more in a probe. I'm also curious, has the FEMA chief accepted your invite to testify?
We're going to find out today, but I would be shocked if she doesn't. We have subpoena power. A lot of these federal agencies were hoping, honestly, that the Republicans lost control of the House so they wouldn't have to come in front of the Oversight Committee or so they wouldn't have to turn over documents that we requested. The American people have spoke, and I would predict that later today it'll be official that we have exceeded 218 votes in the House. So I fully expect the FEMA director to be in front of the House Oversight Committee.
And let me just share a statement that the administrator released, Deanne Criswell, blasting this supervisor's actions. She said in part this, quote, this is a clear violation of FEMA's core values and principles to help people regardless of their political affiliation. Moving forward, Congressman, how do you weed out this kind of behavior no matter which party is in office?
Well, I think you have to set examples. I think people have to be held accountable. There are a lot of instances in many government agencies of this type of behavior towards conservatives or towards Republicans. It's a fact that the overwhelming majority, and I would say 90% plus of the federal workforce in Washington, D.C. are registered Democrats. They did not support Donald Trump. And they have the right to have their own political beliefs, but they don't have the right to take it out on the American people. And that's what we've seen time after time. So we have a lot of questions for the FEMA director, not just about this employee, but about an entire culture within FEMA that discriminates against people based on their political ideology or on their political registration. This needs to stop. And the only way it's going to stop is, number one, with new leadership, and number two, by holding bad employees accountable for bad behavior.
I know she's about to be in the hot seat whenever that day may be. House Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer, thank you for your time this morning, sir.
Thanks for watching, everybody. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. Also, don't forget to click that red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.